I think there's a really good example of a client. Obviously, I won't mention the names, but there's a client we worked with in the tech sector, med tech sector. And I think where we've repositioned Shoe into Shoe 2.0, and we start to think about this roadmap and the systemization and how do we help commercial grow, is the story kind of brings this live. So this medtech company we were introduced to, and they were looking to utilize the investment they had into the business and get seen by other potential investors, or to get seen by healthcare and different audiences across the world. So they needed to come up with a marketing and sales system, that kind of a roadmap, if you like, to get them from A to B. And a couple of the decisions we helped them to make was where we had to think about the commercial direction. Okay, what is it? What we're trying to do? What we're trying to achieve? Okay, great. We want to get seen by more investors. We want to get more connections into the NHS. Cool. So who's the audience? Okay, maybe it's a senior leader, maybe it's an investor, maybe it's an entrepreneurial type. So we started to think about the multiple buyer personas and the customer types. Then we started to think about, okay, what kind of messaging talks to these different audiences? What's their pain points? What their challenges? What keeps that audience up at night? And then we could create messages and content pillars around the pain points and challenges to help talk and communicate with these people. So get the messaging right. Then once we've gone through that process, we could then decide, okay, which channels do we want to go to? Do we want to use TikTok? No, it's not really useful for the kind of investor who's going to be in the 50s, 60s. So we started thinking about things like LinkedIn, or kind of the events and how we support their speaking opportunities, maybe linking a bit of PR in there. So we looked for the opportunities and decided the challenges and the channels where they should and could be engaging with their audience. Some worked, going through trial and error. Some didn't work. We looked at the stats, we looked at the data, we looked at the way the customers engaged with the business as well. So things like data points, were they going to the website? Were they actually reading the blogs? Were they journalists picking up on the PR releases? All that kind of stuff. So we started to look at the data, the customer journey, the customer interaction. And then through the process of measuring the data, we could see what worked and what didn't work. And then we had the opportunity then over the kind of next 90 days, 120 days, to go back and reinforce or improve upon stuff that didn't work. And what was your experience with that particular client, Rachel? Was that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I think so. I think it is down to the goal of what those particular founders want. If they're trying to demonstrate sort of thought leadership and want to be an expert in that field, then they have to integrate sort of all this sort of channels together, not just thinking about digital marketing and being online, but everything around it, from public speaking right the way through to thinking about kind of their personal brand as well, but also who they're trying to talk to. And if you're an early stage founder and you're still working sort of your minimal viable product or your MVP, you're still thinking about getting investment. So your target audience is your investors, your funders, who are going to get your startup off the ground. Key thing there. But obviously, the more you demonstrate that thought leadership, the more you look like you are the expert, or you are the expert, not you look like. Just excuse my language, that sounds a little bit negative, but it's not. But it's just, how do you then become that sort of thought leader, the expert in your field? They want to see that passion, that gut instinct from you. That drives, that they know that's going to drive your business. So being visible is super important, and it's just, you have to mix everything together to get it to join up.
And just a follow-up question to that, Rachel, where do you